Hi, welcome to this video. So in the last video, we actually learned how to make a MariaDB user. Okay. Now we learned how to make a MariaDB user. We also what happened? We also learned how to make an AppDbContext. Okay, based on using a MariaDB server version and a connection string. So technically speaking, we should be able to start using what do you call that? We start using this AppDbContext. Okay, so the last thing we need is that instead of using a list, we need a different kind of so-called list, right? We cannot use the list object in AppDbContext to store data. What we need instead is something called DbSet. Okay, DbSet is the sort of the list equivalent within Entity Framework Core. Okay, so let's take a look at DbSet. Okay, DbSet is actually sort of a list, but it's not really a list. Okay, the correct kind, the correct type or rather what it implements are all these interfaces here: IEnumerable of some entity, IEnumerable, IQueryable, etc. Okay, so what are we going to do here? I'm going to open up nerd3 at the side. nerd3. Okay, I'm going to close this up, and then what I want to open is the components.cs. Now vsplit in half. Okay, what I'm going to do, instead of having a list of things here, I will instead have a DbSet. Okay, so let me change word to DbSet. Okay, and I will call this DbSet component collection. Okay, component collection. All right, so this so-called list of components will be called component collection, but instead of using the list, we will actually be using DbSet. Okay, DbSet. So DbSet is a enumerable type or queryable type. So it's not the same as list, but it can function in the same way, in the sense that you can use a for loop on this DbSet. Okay, now we have this. We are ready to make our once we have this AppDbContext. Okay, once we have this DbSet in our AppDbContext, we have the list that we want to manipulate, and now things should be complete. This is all we need for our AppDbContext. A DbSet, which is like a list but not really a list, we call it enumerable. Okay, so that we can display all the data here, and also the AppDbContext with all these configurations within this options builder. Remember, we needed to configure the server version, MariaDB server version, and of course the connection string. Okay, so pretty much our AppDbContext is set up. Okay, next thing we need to open is we want to start working on our repository for the MariaDB. Okay. So we will not be using the component collection thing anymore. Okay, we will not be using lists as well, but we will be using the interface IComponent repository, and then we will want to start implementing the MariaDB stuff. Okay, so this is the component repo MariaDB. What do we need to implement? Okay, one thing is called the createComponent. Second thing is populateComponents. Okay. Third thing is, I did say this thing has to change later. We need to change it to fit the MariaDB repository. We see this thing is a list right here, a list called getAllComponents. Okay, but MariaDB, the MariaDB repository doesn't have a component list. It has a DbSet. Okay, DbSet is not a list. However, both DbSet and the list class, as you can see, the list class right here. Okay, the list class right here actually implements. Let's see, implements iList. Okay, iList. Okay, what does iList implement in turn? iList actually in turn implements the IEnumerable. Okay, IEnumerable. This is an enumerable interface. So if we take a look at the list C#.NET Core. Okay, list type class. Okay, what does it implement here? The generic I collection, IEnumerable, iList, iRead-only collection, iRead-only list, iList. So you see, IEnumerable is implemented by the list class, and also if you take a look at DbSet, DbSet also implements IEnumerable. So both of these, DbSet and iList, DbSet and list both share this interface for IEnumerable. So that will be the common type between both of them, or common interface. So instead of using list, we will use the interface IEnumerable. So I'm going to change it out. I'm changing out this interface from list. I'm changing it to IEnumerable. IEnumerable. Okay, I'm going to save, and then we're going to have a bunch of errors such that so you see, component repo RAM does not implement interface member getAllComponents. Okay, because it doesn't have the same type. Okay, so what does it mean? Okay, let me change the component repo RAM first. Okay, so instead of having a component list, okay, we see that the getAllComponents should be a type of IEnumerable. Okay, of course the list will actually implement IEnumerable, but you need to change this keyword here from list to IEnumerable. Okay, and then we will have yet another problem because well, the component MariaDb interface doesn't implement this IEnumerable thing as well. So I'm just going to change this getAllComponents thing here. I'll change it from list to IEnumerable. Okay. Okay. So of course we will still have a bunch of other errors. Okay, such as this cannot implicitly convert type system collections blah 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 into system collections list okay, you cannot convert an enumerable type to a list type implicitly. So let's take a look at data storage CS/HTML first. We'll deal with the list interface first, then we'll start dealing with all the other things later. Okay, we want to change it to the list interface, so so that we can use this interface for DbSet as well as list. Okay, so where is it? .NET has CS project CS/HTML.cs. Alright, so there's a data storage.cs/HTML. Okay, I'm going to open both of them up. Okay, so over here I have a component list, which is fine. Alright, so alright, I have all of this here. So where is the thing? There is a problem. Okay, the problem is at line 27, 38, and 45. So look at line 27. 27 is here. Component list equals to component repo getAllComponents. So instead of a list over here, I need to change this into an enumerable. CIW IEnumerable. Okay, so the component list cannot be a list anymore. It has to be an IEnumerable. Okay, so everything should work. So instead of using list, I will say I will use this instead. CIW component enumerable. Okay, just to make sure it matches the type, right? So that it's more what do you call that? It's more consistent, this kind of type. Okay, so I'll make sure that enumerables are used throughout so that it's consistent. Okay, so this data storage model has no definition for component list. Okay, this is line 80. Okay, I'll make sure it's changed. Okay. The CS_HTML file. Okay, so I need to change this as well for var component in component list. So instead of component list, we'll have component enumerable now. Okay, let's undo that. Let's repeat the command. Okay, CIW component enumerable. Okay, of course, if I type component enumerable, you might not know what it means, but it's essentially the same thing. It's a list, okay, but the more generic type is called enumerable. So we should use enumerable rather than list. Okay, so let's resend. We should be able to add components, populate, delete, clear all. Yeah, everything seems to work perfectly. Okay, delete. Okay, so components should work okay. We just change the interface to enumerable here. Okay, component enumerable. So I don't need to touch the stuff here. So I'll git add data storage /HTML star and cd models git status. I should have changed some things. Okay, I'll just add everything. I'll just add everything. Commit. I'll just did commit. Changed list return type for the component IComponent repository to IEnumerable. Okay, so that's what I'm changing, so that you can use a DbSet as well as DbSet as well as a list. Okay, now let's open. Okay, do I want to open everything? Yeah, maybe I'll open everything. Okay, so what do I want to open here? Yeah, we will want to start using implementing the AppDbContext. Okay, the component repo MariaDb and the IComponent repository need to be implemented. Okay, let's look for the IComponent repository. Okay, so this IComponent repository should be there should be this enumerable thing here called getAllComponents, createComponents, populateComponents. Alright, so again, want to give credit where credit is due. I did look a lot into this repository pattern in ASP.NET Core in order to learn this. So thank you to Kudvenkat and pragimtech. So I'll of course leave this video in the description. I learned a lot about repository patterns and how to do the CRUD operations from this tutorial series. Very useful. Of course, he uses as Microsoft SQL Server. I use MariaDB. Okay, so let's move on. We'll try to make the components, populate components, delete everything. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so just like before for MariaDB, yeah, we will need to actually put in AppDbContext into this component MariaDB in order to start working with the database. Okay, so instead of let's see, we'll put this aside. Yeah, instead of us having this IComponent collections and a component list, I'm going to have DbContext injected here. Okay, I'm going to have DbContext injected here. So that's why I like to use this IAppDbContext over here, this interface. Okay, so that's what we are doing. Okay. Alright, so let's see. We are going to use a few methods here for DbContext. Okay, the most important one, which you would have seen many times, is this one is SaveChanges. Okay, SaveChanges. So let's yeah, this is the SaveChanges method, which after you adjust, you kind of add your objects and everything, it will save the changes here. So the type is public virtual integer save changes. So we will just do that. Okay. And what's a virtual function? Okay, a virtual function just means that this is a keyword used to modify a method property indexer and allow it to be overridden in a derived class. Means to say, if you do this inheritance thing, you will be able to override this class, meaning to say whatever's inside this contents here, you can actually use the override keyword. Okay, just like we did for the on configuring thingy. Okay, so we'll just have a integer save changes right here. Okay, we'll use that in our IAppDbContext. So this is the method that we are using. Okay, save changes. Okay, this is the what we will be using here. We'll use this method a lot. Okay, and this DbSet right here, you treat it as a enumerable. Okay, so let's look for IEnumerable. Right, IEnumerable here, and you look at the methods here. You have an add method. Oh, you don't have an add method here. Okay, enumerables are not supposed to be added to. Okay, for some reason. Okay, but okay, let's see. DbSet. Where's DbSet? Yeah, DbSet. Okay, DbSet has an add method here. So if you want to add an entry, you can use the DbSet method. Okay, so okay, so first thing first, let me do the dependency injection. IAppDbContext. So I'm doing it the traditional way. I'm not using the DbContext pooling or whatever. So IAppDbContext, and then I will change this to DbContext. Okay. This list, I will not deal with this list anymore. I will delete this list, and then I will change this to IAppDbContext, and then over here DbContext. Okay, and then I will say this DbContext equals to DbContext. That's all. This is how I will do dependency injection. Okay, and then we will need to implement the methods in component MariaDb, all these kind of things. Okay, so let's do that. And of course, we don't just have a save changes thing here. We will often interact with this database set right here. So we will have a DbSet component. Okay, in fact, I'll just copy and paste this whole thing here. I'll remove the access modifier because that is not usually inside interface. Okay. All right, so okay, it's starting to complain. Component repo MariaDb does not contain component list and everything. So again, we'll need to implement everything from scratch. So let me do di. Okay, di. Let's delete this. Okay, I'm going to delete everything in here. Di curly brace. Di curly brace. Di curly brace. So these are delete operations. Di curly brace. Di curly brace. Di curly brace. Okay, I can just use the full stop to repeat that. Okay, so these are the things we need to implement. Okay, so let's do it. first thing we can do is the getComponent method. Okay, getComponent method. For this, we can use the find method inside the find method. Okay, the find method inside. It says it finds an entity with a given primary key values. So this is the way we can get something. So we will use the find method here. Okay, what is this? This is it will return the entity type, and then it will say you will give it the object parameter and sometimes key values. Okay, these are two parameters you can give it. So this is the find method. Find method is good for getting this private get component thing here. So let's see. Okay, component. Okay, I'll declare the variable first, and well, the term sometimes is called allocate memory. Next step will be component equals to find. Okay, we'll get the AppDbContext. Okay, or you'll get the DbContext DbSet. Okay, DbSet. You'll get the DbSet from this DbContext. Alright, so let's do this. This dot DbContext dot DbSet. Okay, what do I want to do with DbSet? Okay, DbSet has the DbSet class has a find method, so we'll use the find method dot find. And what's the primary key value? The primary key value will be the ID. Okay, and then of course I will need to return this component again. Let me delete this, open a new line, return component. Okay, return component, and this will give you the correct component using this DbSet.Find method. Okay, we will use the DbSet.Find method. I'll leave the link in the description. So this will help you to get the correct component that you want by ID. Okay, so next thing to do is to create component. Okay, create component. So to create component, very simple. So we'll use this dot DbContext dot DbSet component collection. Okay, I should use the component collection. Yeah, I was looking at this just now. I should be looking at this component collection. So CI component collection. Okay, and I'm going to just copy yank all of this up so that I can use the syntax in a similar way. So the create component will be as such. Okay, dw this dot DbContext dot component collection, instead of find we will use the add. Okay, and instead of ID we will use the component. Okay, so this dot DbContext dot SaveChanges, and that will be okay. Alright, so that should be fine for this part. So yeah, what did we use inside the DbSet? We use the find method, and we are also using the add method. Okay, the add method. So add TEntity method, and then after that you save changes. Okay, what else do we have? Populate components. I guess we can do it. Okay, we can do it as well. I'm going to add exactly the same things in here. And let's see where we can find an add method. Alright, so okay, so the we'll have a list. Okay, we can actually copy some of these things over. okay, such as this component.getPipe1. Okay, this will actually return a component object, and then we have a getPump1 and getHeatExchanger1. So there are two ways. There are a few ways we can actually use. We can either do dependency injection, or we can actually inherit these things. Okay, so I'd rather do a dependency injection here. Okay, so this IComponent collection will be injected into this MariaDb. Okay, so I will do a component list. Okay, okay, I will. Let's see here. Yeah, I want to be injecting this in. Okay, because I want these specific methods. Okay, component pipe1, component getPump1, and component getHeatExchanger1. So okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to add these to the interfaces. So I'm going to yank all of these up and paste it up. Paste it in the interface section. I'll paste it here, and I'll delete in the square things. Okay, delete in the curly braces, delete in the curly braces, and yeah, I'll just replace it with a semicolon. Oh, undo please, undo, delete, and one more, 2dd, okay, let's delete in Word, undo, delete Word, delete Word. Okay, so this ones will have the components in there. Okay, I'm going to put this IComponent collection as a dependency injection here. Okay, let's open a line. Okay, private IComponent collection. I'll just call this component collection. Okay, maybe I should not have just deleted it just now. Why am I doing this? I'm just doing this to access all of these getPipe1, getPump1, and getHeatExchanger1. Okay, nothing else there. Very lazy. Yeah, I'm just reusing the code. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do IComponent collection, component collection, component list, component collection. I'll do the dependency injection part later. And then the next part is this dot component collection equals to component collection. Okay, once I have this, I can finally go and populate, open it up. Okay, I will use the ZZ to center my Vim. Okay, this dot component collection. Okay, I'll have pump1, var pump1. Okay, because I don't want to manually type the component here, so whatever is the return type of this component collection, it will be here, component. Okay, if I'm supposed to put component here, but if I want to let C# just auto type what pump1 is, then I can do this. All right. Okay, so this dot component collection dot get pipe1. Okay, and of course I can get this should be pipe1, CRW pipe1. Yeah, paste two more times. So CRW pump1, and I will get pump1. And the last one will be heat exchanger. CRW get heat exchanger, heat exchanger1 equals this component collection, and then I will have DW heat. Okay, again CIW get heat exchanger1. Okay, so what I'm doing is that I'm performing dependency injection into this component repo MariaDb. Okay, and I'm just accessing all of the methods here: get pump 1, get pipe 1, and get here exchanger 1. Okay, hopefully there are not too many problems here. Okay, and then of course there are some complaints, but okay, we'll just do this. Okay, right. We'll quickly finish the populate components part first. Okay, so what's the populate components part? The populate components part is the following. Okay, how do I populate components? Let's see. Right, I have to add the pump, the heat exchanger, and the pipe. So I need to do this dot create component pump pipe 1. This, and then of course I'll paste it 2 times, 2p. Okay, and I'll do pump 1 and then heat exchanger 1. Okay, so this settles the populate components part. Alright, the other one to quickly put is okay, there's a save changes function right here, which is kind of trivial, but not really trivial. Okay, I will just put under the save changes, I want to put in the save changes method. Okay, where's the save changes method for DbSet or DbContext? Okay. Okay, yeah, DbContext has a save changes method which I want to put in here. Okay, I don't need a save changes. I don't even need to implement save changes. So let me delete it first. Okay, I don't really need that. Oh my goodness. Okay. IComponent repository, yeah, doesn't need a save changes. Yeah, so I can delete that. So I already have a save changes here. So after creating a component, yeah, every time it creates component, it will save changes, so that's fine. Unless you are very particular about over too much resource usage, but doesn't really matter. Okay, so I will first say for this one I'll have IEnumerable. I'll just make this get all components. IEnumerable component component enumerable. And then after that, what happens? I will need to return this. I need to set it to the DbSet. Yeah, this should be the DbSet. A component enumerable equals to this dot DbContext dot component collection. Okay, and yeah, this component collection is a DbSet type. DbSet type is actually a enumerable type. So, okay, then return component enumerable. Okay, so this is what we do with getAllComponents. Okay, update, delete, and clear. Okay, let's do the easy ones first. Clear component. How do we clear component? Okay, clear all components. Okay, so yeah, clear all components isn't that straightforward. Okay, there are yeah, clear all components, you will have to enumerate through each of the components in the list and delete one at a time. Okay, usually, I mean that is the standard way. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's just do the delete one first, or the delete one, because this one is actually more straightforward than clear. Okay, so on the wow, okay, I'll do the last one and then I'll call it a day. Because it's been 35 minutes, I think I went way over time. Okay, where's the delete method? DbSet class has a remove. Okay, oh yes, remove. This is the remove. Okay, so delete component will just remove the component. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay, so this dot, and this is under a DbSet, right? This is under DbSet. This dot, what is this? Ah, yes, DbContext component collection. Okay, maybe I'll just copy and paste this here. Then can paste, delete this, and this dot DbContext component collection. What I want to do is use the remove function, and we will use component. Okay, this will mark it over here. It will say it will be put into the this will mark the given entity as deleted, so it will not remove the entity, it will just mark it as deleted. Next thing you need to do is save changes. DbContext.SaveChanges. Okay, so after marking it for deletion, you can do the save changes thing. For delete component with this ID overload, okay, the first, okay, undo, open, a new line, and yeah. So I'll just put variable. I use component. What component? Component equals to getComponent dot and we'll use the ID. The ID given if you want to use it to delete. This dot getComponent ID. Okay. Okay, and next thing is that we want to check whether this is a null object. If it's a null object, we don't do anything, right? Okay. If this component, if let's say there are 20 items and your ID goes from 1 to 20, and then you supply an ID equals to 30, and then you try and delete the ID, and nothing's supposed to happen, right? Because that object doesn't even exist. Okay, so technically you want to guard yourself against deleting objects that don't exist. So this is what I'll do. If I'll run an if loop, and I'll say if component not equals to null. Okay, if component not equals to null, then we run the delete component. So we'll do this dot delete component, and then we'll put a component there. Okay, I think that's enough for now. I'm not going to do any more. It's a very long video, so I'll stop and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.